Hello students, this is Dr. Munir Umar with Database Management Systems. Today in lecture number 46, we will study about Transaction Control Language, TCL, which is a part of Structured Query Language, SQL. So far, we have studied about SQL, DQL, Data Query Language, then Data Manipulation Language, Data Control Language, and Data Definition Language. All these are part of SQL. Today we will study TCL, that is Transaction Control Language. These are the contents for our today's lecture. First, we will study about the TCL. We will have some definitions and we will also create some transactions in our workbench that we use for our work. Then we will have a look into the commit statement, the rollback statement, save point, and at the end we will have some example codes. These three are used in SQL TCL language as statements. We have already studied about these in our previous lecture, which was about transaction management. So first, transaction control language. Transaction control language commands are used to manage transactions in the database. By transaction, we mean a logical unit that contains two or more SQL statements. Sometimes for a single operation, we may need multiple statements to be executed. So what we do, we combine all those statements in a single unit, and that unit is known as TCL. Actually, TCL is used for maintaining consistency in a database. So with the help of transactions, we take the data from one consistent form to the another consistent form in a database. The transactions, the TCL commands are used to manage the changes made in the data in a table by DML statements. Actually, in transactions, we combine the DML statements. These statements can be insert statement, update, delete, and also we include the DQL, data query language in DML, that is select statements. It allows statements to be grouped together into a logical transaction. So with the help of TCL, we create transactions, and transactions are used to group the statements in a logical way. So here we are going to make our transaction for some statements that are part of an operation. Actually, we have three tables: the customer table, products table, and purchases table. So each customer has a balance. So if a customer buys something, this balance will be reduced according to the price and quantity of that product. In the same way, the quantity of that product will also be reduced, and here we will get a new entry for that purchase. For example, Nazir buys a mobile, so his balance will be reduced by 200 for a single mobile, and here the quantity of mobile will also be reduced by 1. It will become 49, and here we will have a new entry for Nazir, the product and the quantity, and also we will have the purchase date. So in this operation we need three queries. First query is to reduce the balance from here. In second query it would be an update query. The second query will also be an update query, and this query will reduce the quantity of an item, and the third query would be an insert query to put a row in this purchases table. So we are going to do these in our tool, that is Workbench. Here we have a database named as transactions. You can look into this database. Its name is transactions. This database is made according to our example. In this database we have three tables: the customer, products, and purchases. Inside customer we have some columns, and similarly for products and purchases we have also some columns as per our example. So now we are going to execute a query. Let's check the contents of customers. It's customer. So here we have data stored in the customer table. Now we are going to select data from products. This is the data in products, and the purchases table is empty. This table is empty, means that yet nobody has purchased nothing. So now we are going to write a transaction first. So here I must type start transaction, and after that I must type commit or rollback or both. So first try rollback. Here we are typing in insert query in the customers. Insert into customers, customer values, for ID I'm giving 5, then XYZ, name of the customer, and balance is, let's say, 100. Now if I execute this statement alone, it will increase the number of rows. Actually it will put one additional row in the customer table, and that row will have these values. But if I execute this entire transaction, what will happen? This insert query will be executed, but it will be rolled back automatically. So here we are going to execute it. Before this, let me show you the contents of customer. Select static from customer, control enter. We have 4 entries in this table. Now we are going to execute this transaction. This one got executed. Here look, start transaction, it's successful, then insert query is also successful, and rollback is also successful. Now again check the contents of customer. Here there is no XYZ. If you see into the rows of this table, the last entry is for Shahid. There is no XYZ, and according to this query there must be XYZ, but due to the rollback this statement is not executed, so it is reverted. Now I'm going to commit this statement before rollback. So here I must type commit. Now execute it again and see what happens. This one got executed. The commit is also successful. Here now execute the select statement again. Enter. Look, this XYZ is present in the table. This one is now effective and the commit made the change which rollback cannot revert. Now we suppose that CIS1 Lalin bought a mobile phone, so it would have PID equal to 1 and the quantity would be 1. So here we will have 1 and 1. The quantity is also 1 and the date would be present date and time. And this the purchase ID is in auto increment number, so this would be generated automatically and inserted automatically, so no need to mention this in the insert query. So here we need two update statements. One is for the customer, so this statement will update the row in this customer table and this value will be reduced by 200. Now we need to reduce this amount by 1, so here I must type update products set P quantity. The column name is P quantity here in the table equals to P quantity minus 1, where PID equals to 1. We are dealing with the first item that has ID equal to 1, so this another row will also be updated and this 50 will be subtracted. 1 will be subtracted from this 50. Next we need to insert a new row in the purchases table. So in purchases we have some attributes, so I must type insert into purchases, then the attributes would be CID comma PID, the customer ID, the product ID, then quantity and purchase date. After that we specified the attributes. Now we need to put the values, and here I type 1 for CID, 1 for PID, 1 for quantity and the purchase. We must also use brackets for these values. Now here we have the transaction. Starting with start transaction, it has 3 queries, 2 are update and 1 insert. And insert query we have some new values, and after that we typed rollback. Now we are going to execute this, so let's see what happens. This one got executed, and now let's check what do we have. So I'm selecting from customer, control enter. Here if you look into the customer table, there is no change in this table. Now select static from products. Again, no change in the quantity of mobile, and also check the purchases. There is no row in the purchases table. Actually, all these statements are not executed, are rollbacked due to this rollback command. So now if I put commit before the rollback, then it will work. So here I am putting commit. We can omit this rollback too. There is no need of rollback. Now if I execute this transaction, then it will work. So here I am executing it. This one got executed. All these are successful. Now let's check the contents of purchases. Here we got one row due to this transaction. We can also look into the customers. Control enter. Here if you look into the customer, here this first customer CIS is equal to 1. Lalin has now 800 balance. It was 1000. It is wise to use a stored procedure for such type of transactions or a block of code. So here I'm going to create a stored procedure for let me copy this first, Control C, and now create stored procedure. So we can give this stored procedure a name as let's see, purchase item, and here we are going to paste that code. So this stored procedure is now created. Here we got one stored procedure named as purchase item. It has that transaction which we used. We can call this stored procedure by simply typing call the name of the stored procedure, that was purchase item, and control enter. In TCL, the transaction control language, the first command which we use is called commit. We can also call this commit as a statement. Commit command is used to permanently save any transaction into database. In the transaction, we put multiple statements, and most of the statements will be DML commands. So these DML commands can put some changes in the database contents to make those changes to be permanently saved. So for that purpose we need commit. The changes made by DML commands are not permanent until the current session is closed. If the session is closed, after that the changes are made permanent. But before the closure of that session, we can roll back those changes. To avoid this rollback, we use commit command to mark the changes as permanent. We have already practiced this commit before this slide. So this is the example. In transaction, we put some statements, and these statements would be DML statements, and after that we use commit command. Then we have rollback. This command restores the database to last committed state. Rollback is useful until the commit has not been executed. It is also used with save point. If you remember in the last lecture, which was about the transactions, we studied about the save point, and we also referred this save point as check point. So by using the save point command, we can jump to a particular point in the transaction. So rollback can be used with save point command. It is just like go to command in some other programming languages, but that concept is a bit different. That is used to shift the control, but here we actually revert changes to that particular point. If we have used the update command to make some changes into the database and realize that those changes were not required, then we can use rollback command to roll back those changes if they were not committed using the commit command. If a commit command has been executed, after that rollback is not possible. So if this commit is not executed, then we can roll back the update or DML commands easily. This is the syntax for rollback. Here we have some statements and a checkpoint called as save point, and this is the name of that save point or the label of that save point. So we can roll back to that particular save point. Without this save point, we can also roll back the entire code if there is no commit used in it. Third, we have save point. The save point command is used to temporarily save a transaction so that we can roll back to that point whenever required. We put some checkpoints in our code, so if we need to roll back our work, then we can go back to that particular save points or particular checkpoints. In short, using this command, we can name the different states of our data in any table and then can roll back to that state using the rollback command whenever required. So here we have the same syntax as we seen for rollback. We have a save point here, and we can jump or we can revert these statements up to that particular save point. We may have multiple save points, so it would be an easy way to omit or revert some statements to a particular position in the code with the help of save point.